So I know as the colder weather comes up and some people are planning their getaways, they're talking about using self-tanners again. If you're planning to use a self-tanner before you go away during the holidays or during colder weather, just remember again that self-tanners do not offer UV protection. They're only offering some cosmetic benefit in terms of pigmentation of your skin. So let's talk more about what self-tanners even are and how to use them. Most self-tanners include an ingredient called DHA or dihydroxyacetone. This is an FDA-approved ingredient to add pigmentation to the skin superficially. Before DHA was used as a self-tanner, it was used as a sugar substitute. When it came into contact with the skin, it actually left behind pigmentation, which piqued its interest in being used as a self-tanner. The way that DHA works is that it interacts with various amino acids in your skin to create this brown pigmented complex that deposits in the superficial layers of your skin. This reaction starts within an hour of use and continues to proceed over the following 24 hours. By understanding that that pigment continues to develop over 24 hours after application is really important, because when you apply it at first, you don't want to go by the pigment that you see initially in your skin as telling you the ultimate color. If you keep on applying layers or products, you might find that the pigment that you result in might be a lot darker than you anticipated. The temporary color offered by DHA applied to the skin lasts for about a week. The intensity of the pigmentation it offers is really dependent on the concentration of DHA in the product that you choose. This is the challenging part about it because DHA is not listed as an active ingredient on Sunless tanners, which means that you don't always know the concentration that's there unless the product line discloses it to you. The vast majority of products probably have a DHA concentration of somewhere between 3 to 5%. However, the range can be from 1% to 15%. This is why you see such varying hues when you use different products, and that's what makes it hard for people to navigate which ones to choose. I think the hardest part my patients have when it comes to choosing a self-tanner is finding a product that offers them the hue that they're seeking. Because most companies do not necessarily disclose their DHA concentration, it makes it really hard for even us as dermatologists to recommend different products, not knowing the concentration that patients might be getting. This is a place where social media and word of mouth and reviews really does play an important role, simply because not knowing ahead of time means that we're left to trying to figure it out based on usage. Because it can be so hard to figure out the hue that you're seeking, also recognize that once you apply a self-tanner, it continues to pigment your skin for 24 hours afterwards. That means once you hit that 24-hour mark, you know what kind of pigment you're getting. If you're seeking a darker hue, you can continue to apply self-tanner the following day to darken the hue that you obtain. The process of using a Sunless tanner starts 24 hours in advance. It does not start the day you get home and purchase that product. You need to remember to do a few things. Number 1, avoid shaving 24 hours before applying a self-tanner. Exfoliate your skin the day before using a self-tanner, because if you do have dry, flaky skin on the surface, the self-tanner will adhere to that and look darker in those areas and somewhat blotchy. Doing this the day before will also avoid irritation to your skin. That can also serve as an area where Sunless tanner will attach to and appear darker or blotchy. The night before you apply a Sunless tanner, you want to make sure you apply a moisturizer to your skin so that it's well hydrated and can take on that self-tanner without any dry, flaky patches that again could make the self-tanner appear more blotchy. Now, to apply your self-tanner, different products come with different methods of application. Some will come with a mitten or a glove. Some you can just apply on your own. Just remember, if you're going to apply it with your hands, you want to make sure that you wash your hands pretty quickly, because the thick keratin on the palms of your hands will serve as an area that Sunless tanner cannot adhere to, and you'll get those orange palms that people are trying to avoid. When you decide the areas that you're seeking to apply the self-tanner, consider sectioning off your skin into areas with the largest surface areas that are exposed. Wait until the end to do the joints, because joints tend to accumulate self-tanner because the skin's a little thicker and holds onto the product a little bit more. If you focus on evenly applying the self-tanner to those exposed areas, such as the upper arm, forearm, thighs, and legs, and then going back and working on the joints, you have less of a chance of actually getting too much product in those areas. If you apply too much Sunless tanner in your elbows or the creases, they're going to look darker. It's going to accentuate those creases and accentuate the joint. After applying your self-tanner to those areas, consider applying a moisturizer above it just to dilute out the product a bit so that you reduce the intensity of the hue that you see. Try to avoid exercising or sweating profusely within 3 to 4 hours of applying your self-tanner because you're going to lose some of the product if you do. If you're going to use a self-tanner, please remember to use a sunscreen in those exposed areas. You don't want to get a false sense of security that the pigment there is protecting you from the sun. Self-tanners are no substitute for sun protection. If you're really happy with your self-tanner, you can reapply the product every 5 to 7 days. If you're looking for a little bit more of an intensity of color within 24 to 48 hours, you can apply another layer, but always remember to be careful to dilute out the product in the creases and the joints to reduce the incidence of highlighting or accentuating those creases. And also remember to wash your hands with soap and water within an hour of application just to reduce the chances of getting those orange palms.